This is In Step with Compliance, a podcast by the Modern Practice Solutions team for dental professionals.
Welcome to In Step with Compliance. My name is Olivia Wann, and this episode is sponsored by Modern Practice Solutions. In today's discussion, we're talking about why do we need so many passwords? You probably agree that it's difficult to keep up with all of our logins, all of our passwords, and operate day to day with all this information in our heads. So we talked to our trainers to get some input from them and suggestions. So I'd like to start with our trainer, Terri. Why do we need so many passwords in the first place?
Great question, Olivia. The answer actually lies in the evolution of security. From the ancient Greece, where watchwords were used, in the 1944 military challenge response methods, the importance of safeguarding the information has always been paramount. Fast forward to the 1960s, when the first digital password was created at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. As technology has advanced, we quickly learn that many password choices are inherently vulnerable. Users often opt for passwords that are easy to remember, but that also makes them very easy to guess.
That's interesting about the history of the passwords. Brenda, what are your thoughts about passwords being hacked, and how do we avoid that? Because we see how much the history has changed things, as Terri was talking. What are your thoughts about the length and how we formulate our passwords?
Yes, the average 8-character password can be hacked in as little as 39 minutes. That's an alarming statistic, and so it highlights the urgency for us to become much more rigid with our password protection. So relying on such simple passwords is basically like locking your door and then putting the key under the front door mat. To truly safeguard your data, it's essential to choose stronger, more complex passwords. And so a few areas that might be helpful in that, one would be making sure that the length of your password are at least 16 characters long. The longer, the better. Be unique. Each password should be random and distinct. Using the same password across multiple accounts creates a dangerous risk. And third, embrace complexity. A robust password includes a unique mixture of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characteristics. If your password meets these criteria, there's really no need to change them unless you suspect your account has been accessed without authorization.
So Brenda, thanks for your insight on how weak passwords can adversely affect the security of our data. Matter of fact, in our training program, we talk about brute force attacks on an email account, that it can even be as little as 1 minute to break into an account if we're using commonly used passwords. So good information about having your password linked at least 16 characters if that is doable through the program that you're using. So if we have all these unique passwords, especially if they're longer length, Caitlin, how in the world do we remember these passwords?
Password Manager is going to be an excellent tool for this. If you're not familiar with this, a couple different versions or brands are 1Password. A password manager is going to be a really excellent resource to help you remember all of these hopefully complex passwords that you have for all of your different sites. If you're not familiar with what a password manager is, essentially the password manager is think of it as like a book of all of your passwords. In order to access these passwords, you simply have to remember 1Password, and that's the password for your big secret password book. If you type in this key on your browser, you can open your password manager, which will then autofill your passwords, and you only have to remember that initial password to get into the manager. One that we like to use at MPS is 1Password, appropriately named. Again, all you do is you remember that 1Password for the password manager, type it in, and then you're able to securely autofill your passwords for your other site.
That makes good sense, Caitlin. Keep up with 1Password rather than 20 or 40 of them. So I think this is a good topic for our listeners to secure their data, especially their email accounts and their logins. So we appreciate everyone tuning in with In Step to Compliance, and we look forward to seeing them on a future episode.